Hello and welcome to the program from the National Assembly House of Representatives. I am Mitaire Ikwen. The 10th House of Representatives, during its second plenary, announced the composition of 7 ad hoc committees that will assist the leadership pilot the affairs of the House, pending the composition of standing committees. On the program today, we shall bring you highlights of the second plenary of the House.
Almighty God, creator of ruler and heaven and earth, we seek thee to inspire and guide all our counsels and actions so that we can may always work in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thee grace to do only those things that will promote the unity, peace, happiness, and prosperity. Amen. National pledge. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all our strength, to defend our unity, and uphold our honor and glory.
The House notes that the Ikot Akbanku, Yariba, Usomotiat, Ikot Akbaidem, Ikot Rambang Road in the Ukanafu local government area of Akwa Ibom State plays a paramount role in the economic development of the Ukanafu communities, the environs, and by extension, the neighboring states. Also notes that the road has been in a dilapidated state over the years, thus requiring urgent government intervention. Aware that the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, under its emergency intervention program, commenced the rehabilitation of about 2.8 kilometer Ikot Akbaidem, Ikot Akbanku, Yariba, Usongotiat, Ikot Akbaidem, Ikot Rambang Road in Ukanafun in 2022, but abandoned less than halfway. Worried that the bad state of the road has caused hardships to the inhabitants of the villages and adjoining communities. The road has become a death trap for motorists and impassable for farmers to transport farm produce to the neighboring towns. Also worried that the deteriorated condition of the road has not only aggravated the present sufferings of thereby affecting the economic activities and movement of the people, goods and services, which has led to loss of earnings and resources. The House resolved to urge the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to urgently complete Ikot Akbanku, Yariba, Usongotiat, Ikot Akbaidem, Ikot Rambang roads. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I so move.
Related motion, it does not require any debate. So we'll just put the question.
No, seconder, sir.
It has not been seconded? Oh. Okay, any secondum?
I rise to second the motion ably moved by my brother, Honorable Adam. I so second.
Against, you say nay. The ayes have it. We go to the second order of the day, which is the need to declare immigration of young Nigerians abroad, aka Japa syndrome, a national emergency. To declare. I will now call on Honorable Philip Abese to introduce the subject matter.
I rise to move the motion for a need to declare emigration of young Nigerians abroad, also known as Japa syndrome. Japa is a Yoruba word for people who are running away from the country for
just introduce the subject matter so that we can get a seconder.
Need to declare emigration of young Nigerians abroad, aka Japa syndrome, a national emergency. It's a motion on the order paper. According to statistics from the Nigeria Economic Summit, the growing number of young Nigerians are relocating abroad. The House also notes that the recent reports by African Policy Institute indicate that 60% of young people would opt to relocate abroad if given the chance or if the opportunity presents itself. Aware that there is a 40% increase in the number of young Nigerians leaving the nation compared to the number captured in 2019. As the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs reported that emigration from Nigeria in 2020 totaled 1.7 million, which is a substantial increase from 990,000 in 2010. The House consigned that the growing statistics of young Nigerians leaving Nigeria and securing permanent residence in the United Kingdom, the USA, and Canada portends a grave danger for our nation in many ways, from economic to intellectual and social aspects. Also consigned that the Nigerian population is made of 2/3 of persons under the age of 30, and a good number of these persons are already afflicted with what today is acceptably referred to as the Japa syndrome. As estimates indicate, a staggering tens of thousands have relocated to the USA, Canada, South Africa, and even Gambia over the last 2 years. Worried that the eagerness to migrate to countries that offer hope seems to have compelling influence, and this was aptly captured in the Business Day newspaper of 4 June 2023 by one Timothy Oyogeke under an article titled "The Desertion of Nigeria by Nigerians, Lack of Patriotism or Need for a Better Life." By the observation of the writer, it is disheartening to see the rate at which brilliant and very resourceful Nigerians are eager to leave the country. Also worried that those living in Nigeria are not just the poor, but middle class who possess skills and workforce, including bankers, lecturers, healthcare practitioners, doctors, nurses, trained manpower, all of whom were trained in Nigeria with Nigerian taxes and are emigrating at a time when their services are needed to build a strong and vibrant economy for this country. Disturbed that if this scenario continues with our able minds, brains, and skilled personnel living, Nigeria may fall into grave crisis in our critical sectors, from education to health care, thereby making a bad situation worse. Cognizance that, in line with the renewed hope theme of the President Bola Tinubu administration, the triggers that predispose young Nigerians to find a choice to leave the country attractive, such as uncertainty of the duration of stay in high institutions, poor living wages, growing unemployment, poor living condition, insensitive leadership, insecurity, postgraduate realities, and among others, which make young people frustrated, demands a declaration of state of emergency in order to address this syndrome. The House, conscious that our young population remains of our greatest asset, and although the prospect of a growing Nigerians in the diaspora could be beneficial in a way, it should not be at the expense of our needed manpower. Also, it borders on national pride when our young, bright minds leave the country in droves, convey an impression that Nigeria is a sinking ship that everyone is rushing to get out of. The House also cognizes that life-changing decision whether to stay in one's country or emigrate should not be anchored based on challenges ranging from insecurity to poor health, poor educational system, and poor economy, among other things. The House resolves to urge the federal government to convene a national summit with key stakeholders to effectively address the syndrome. The House resolves to declare a state of emergency on the factors that predispose young Nigerians to give up on Nigeria in preference for other nations. So I so move, Mr. Speaker.
I rise to second the motion ably moved by my colleague. I so second.
Is talking about the fundamental rights. Then go to section 35, talking about the personal liberty of an individual. This motion, as it is, it looks nationalistic, but it contravenes the provisions of the Constitution. It's the liberty of a Nigerian, if he is qualified and he is normal and he has all the grant rights of movement anywhere he wants. It's the right of a Nigerian, if he has the correct qualification, to go for anywhere to source a living. The Constitution of Nigeria allows even dual citizenship, talkless of moving somewhere to earn a living. If we allow this motion on this floor, it contravenes the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
The way and manner the motion is presented to the House, we should be mindful of the prayers of the motion before killing it. Sir, item 1 as prayers of the motion urge the federal government to convene a national summit with key stakeholders to effectively address the Japa syndrome. 2, decline a state of emergency. Excuse me.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order.
I'm contributing to the motion. Mr. Speaker, I have your protection. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the mover of the motion is not praying that everybody should be stopped from going to abroad. We should take this into consideration. But is advising, because we have to tell each other the truth. The factors enumerated, that is the actual factors or reasons behind people leaving this country to seek for greener pastures somewhere. Mr. Speaker, I have your protection, and I believe I deserve that protection. What I'm trying to say in a nutshell, the mover of the motion mentioned reasons why Nigerians are living for greener pasture somewhere outside the country. He is only calling. Excuse me. Can I have your protection?
Please, order.
Go ahead. Order, Mr. Speaker. Summarize, please.
Let's be orderly, please. Let's be orderly, please.
Follows. 1, poor working condition or poor wages, growing unemployment, poor living condition, insensitive leadership, insecurity, post-graduation realities, and other factors. What he is trying to say in a nutshell, we have identified, international communities have identified, these are the reasons why Nigerians are compelled to go outside the country. And what he is praying now is, let there be national summit, so that all these factors will be given priorities, so that at the end of the day, Nigerians will be...
Thank you, honorable colleague. I think you have said enough.
Yes,
please,
sir, thank you, sir. So as far as I'm concerned, this motion
point of order, Mr. Speaker.
is to be considered.
Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, I still want to draw a little bit of your attention, Mr. Speaker and respected colleagues, that procedurally, when a point of order is raised, the Speaker is supposed to rule first on the point of order as to whether the point of order is sustained or not sustained. Further raise the constitutional point of order. Yes, as good as the motion it may be, first, the fundamental issues raised in the Constitution. No law, including our motions and bills, if you go to section 1(3) of the Constitution, he says any law that is inconsistent with the Constitution, to the extent of that inconsistency, it remains null and void. So as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Speaker, and the House, I want to draw your attention that first you have to rule on his point of order before we can proceed. Otherwise, we'll be contributing in contravention of our own Constitution. 2, I want to draw to attention of my parliamentarian colleagues that this is Parliament. We do not clap, and it's not allowed to clap in Parliament. Please, I want to beg for that so that we can have a very robust and sound Parliament. Thank you very much.
Through amendments, first. Amendments. Okay, we are going to rule on the issue raised by Honorable Sade Soli. Those who are in support of that amendment should say aye. Those who are against should say nay. So we go to amendments. We take amendments if they are to the prayers. Amendment to the prayers is sought.
My amendment to this particular motion an order to the particular word that's being used here, what is called the Japa syndrome. To me, Japa syndrome, Japa, the word Japa is Ebonics. It is not in the Advanced Learners Dictionary, neither is it in any word in Nigeria or any part of the world. And most importantly, this is what you consider a street language, Ebonics. That is my prayer to this particular motion. A proper word should be used, not Japa. There's nothing so-called Japa.
Okay, it's noted. It's noted. Those who are in support of this motion should say aye. Intervention in the persistent community clashes between the residents of Imbo in
This is the parliament. The speaker is speaking.
Order.
Mr. Speaker must be held in silence.
Ifumale local government of Benue State, standing on the name of Honorable Ize Nwachukwu. Honorable Ize is invited to move the motion.
Need for federal government to intervene in the persistent community clashes between the residents of Umbo in Ohuku local government area of Ebonyi State and Agila in Igumale local government of Benue State. The House notes the persistent community clashes between the residents of Umbo in Ohuku local government area of Ebonyi State and Agila in Igumale local government area of Benue State, dating back more than a century. Also note that the unfortunate outcome of this crisis results in loss of lives and damage of properties worth billions of naira. Concerned that the states which hitherto these areas which hitherto lived in peace as neighbors, intermarried, farmed together, are presently at dagger draws with each other. Also concerned that since the outbreak of this crisis sometime in 1930, the peace and tranquility which hitherto existed among the residents of the area and its neighboring regions are no longer available. I thought that due to the prevailing crisis in the state, coupled with the prevailing crisis in this area, there exists unprecedented poverty, hunger, and starvation within these communities. Also perturbed that till date, there is no evidence of commerce, agricultural activities, and socio-economic development within those communities. Worry about the increasing prevalence of this crisis and dispute at the slightest provocation, as well as occasional breakout of war within these neighboring communities. Also worried that the socio-economic development and security situation of citizens in these areas have come to a halt. Aware that the two communities' roads serves as the only link between the north and the southeastern part of the country. Also aware of the efforts by the community leaders as well as leaders of thought in these areas to bring back peace in conscious of another crisis between the residents of the two states. This House to resolve to urge the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, to provide remedial measures to the roads leading to the two communities to serve as a clear developmental input and access in the interest of the majority of the Nigerian people, pending the 2024 budget estimate. Also urge the National Boundary Commission to conclude the ongoing boundary adjustments between the two states as remedy to bring the crisis to an end and to forestall further reoccurrence. Again, to urge the National Emergency Agency, NEMA, to quickly supply relief materials to the people affected by these clashes. to mandate the Committee on Works, when constituted, to liaise with the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to include Okwangbo Ekwashi, Agila Otukpo Road, Spur Umi Mama Egedegede Road in the 2014 budget as a final solution to restore peace in the two states. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I so move.
Mr. Speaker, I stand to second the motion, heavily moved by my colleagues, Honorable Eze and Eze. I hereby second.
Mr. Speaker, my amendment is on the prayers, and I most humbly pray and amend that prayers 1 and 4 be expunged from the prayers. The reason is that the subject matter borders on community clashes, and that is why I supported the last motion. These other prayers are talking about infrastructure, provision of infrastructure, and they should stand on a different motion altogether. So I think prayers 1 and 4 contradicts the subject matter. In as much as this motion is very, very apt, I think that those two prayers shouldn't come under this motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Just on the amendment proposed by our colleague, because the mover of the motion is calling on the House to provide infrastructure. Of course, we should know that part of the management of crisis has to do with infrastructure. If there's no good road, how would the security move to avert? So it is part and parcel of the motion. It has something to do with it, and I want to call his attention to kindly allow the mover. It will be a plus for the mover of the motion, who is our colleague, to have his own infrastructure development done. And we are advisory. I want to beg that we allow it. We step down the amendment. That's what I want to beg my honorable colleagues.
To say nay. The ayes have it.
And I hereby rise to move a motion that's integral to our national security and cohesion on the need to address the lingering issue of gas flaring by oil and gas companies. The House notes that Nigeria is a country blessed with vast oil and natural gas resources, and due to inadequate management of resources, most of the natural gas is flared. Aware that a National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency NOSDRA report states that in 2022, Nigeria flared 216.5 billion standard cubic feet of gas in about 11 months, despite its commitment in November 2021 to reach net zero by 2060. Also aware that the report said that 12 million tons of CO2 were emitted into the atmosphere, contributing to global warming, while useful natural gas valued at $0.79 billion was burned by the Nigerian oil and gas industry, equivalent to fines to the value of $450 million US, many of which it said are not collected. The House is concerned that in 2022, 22,500 gigawatt hours of potential power generation went to waste, equivalent to the annual electricity use of 511 million Nigerian citizens. Also concerned that in 2021, an estimated $761.19 million US was lost to gas flaring. A total of 316.5 billion naira monetary value would have occurred to the government if it had captured this volume and repurposed it. This sum would have helped the country provide basic amenities, as stated in the 2022 fiscal budget. The amount would have financed the total expenditure for primary healthcare centers, rural electrification projects, and the maintenance of all road and bridge projects by the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FERMA. These have a collective figure of 227.13 billion naira. A breakdown shows that 24.4 billion naira was budgeted for PHCs, 113.96 billion naira for rural electrification, and another 88.76 billion naira for FERMA. Worried that in 2023, the trend continues, as 150 billion naira value of gas was flared within the month of January to April 2023 alone. In the last decade, approximately $9.05 billion has been lost to gas flaring. This money would have offset 23.62% of the country's total foreign debt of $38.32 billion. Also worried that in addition to wasting a valuable source of energy, flaring has a negative impact on human health, the climate, and the environment. The House resolves to urge NOSDRA within 2 weeks to provide the House specified information on companies involved in flaring to include amount flared and penalty cost in the last decade for both local and international oil companies so that the outstanding debts are fully recovered. Also urge key and relevant government agencies of petroleum sector, the NNPCL, NOSDRA under the Ministry of Environment, NERC under the Ministry of Power, to avoid working in silos and strengthen synergy to produce a practical and unified multi-level governance and policy coherence analysis that will stem gas flaring, protect the environment, and boost energy supply. Mandate the committees of petroleum upstream, gas, power, environment, and legislative compliance when constituted to ensure compliance. Mr. Speaker, I so move. Thank you.
I rise to second the motion as moved by my honorable colleague. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, my amendment is on the resolve to I urge NOSDRA within 2 weeks to provide the House with specified information on companies and thereabouts. I want us to amend these 2 weeks to read 6 weeks, because 2 weeks from all indications will not be enough to provide the House within specified information on companies involved in the flaring to include amount flared and penalty cost in the last decade for both local and international companies, in bracket IOC, so that the outstanding debts are fully recovered. That is my amendment, Mr. Speaker.
I rise before you to second the amendments by my good friend Ginger Osebe, and I so second. I want to seek your indulgence to convey a kind of ad hoc committee to look critically into these issues that have been raised. The membership and the leadership of the committee will be announced later. Just for record, that ad hoc committee will be set up. We'll contact those who will participate in the committee assignment. Thank you. The of the day is a motion on the need to control gully erosion in Nkor, Miri, and Japa, in Nwere, Isu, Nwegele, in Japa, Federal Constituency of Imo State, standing in the name of Honorable Ogonna Odoribo. Honorable Odoribo is invited to move the motion, please.
Mr. Speaker, with me is a motion on the need to control the gully erosion in Nkwamiri and Isu Jaba, in Nkwere, Nwangele, Isu, and Jaba Federal Constituency of Imo State. The House should note that the negative impact of gully erosions and muggles in Nigeria, with attendant loss of farmlands and basic source of livelihood, loss of properties and lives, disconnect and separation of families and neighboring village, also potholes and loss of soil. The House should also be aware that the sections of Umozo community in Nkwere, Isu, Nwangele, and Njaba Federal Constituency, harboring the important Nkwamiri market, has been submerged and wiped out by fissurous gully erosions, measuring about 42 meters in depth and 4 kilometers in length. The House should also be aware that the erosions in sections of the Isu Njaba community have created big gullies stretching from Isu to Njaba local government area in the same federal constituency. The House should also know that the inhabitants of these affected communities have lost their farmlands and cannot access their markets and cities to exchange or to sell or exchange their farm products for other economic items. The House is also worried that the erosions have destroyed buildings and rendered residents homeless. Those in the urban areas find it difficult to visit their families in the village, while some families and ancestral lands are completely wiped out by these gully erosions. The House is also worried that if nothing is done urgently within this rainy season, the suffering and casualties will increase and eventually wipe away more villages. Convinced that the urgent control of this gully erosion shall bring succor and relief to the people of Nkwere, Wangala, and Japa Federal Constituency, most especially families and communities directly affected by these gully erosions, let this Honorable House do resolve that one, all the Ecological Fund Office under the Secretary to the Government of the Federation to immediately commence the control of Nkwamiri and Isunjaba gully erosions at the Nkwere, Isu, Wangala, and Japa Federal Constituency. Also, the House also urge the Federal Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning to release funds for the control of the Nkwamiri and Isunjaba gully erosions at Nkwere, Isu, Wangala, and Japa Federal Constituency. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, the House should mandate the Committee on Ecological Fund, when constituted, to ensure compliance. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
I rise to second the motion moved by the distinguished reps. I so move.
Mr. Speaker, my amendment will come with prayer number 4 that all the 3 prayers will be extended to the part of the southwest. And so many erosion damage in a different area in the southwest of the country. That's my amendment, sir. Thank you, sir.
Vote of this motion as amended should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. The sixth order of the day, which is a motion on the need for control of gully erosion along Ekang Obion Bridge in Abag local government area, standing in the name of Honorable Clement Jimbo. Honorable Jimbo is invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I stand to move a motion for the need to control gully erosion along Ekang Obion Bridge in Abak local government area of Akwa Ibom State. The House notes that there is gully erosion on the Ekang Obion Bridge in Abak local government area. The House also notes that the strategic importance of the Ekang Obion Bridge to the economy of South states and the country in general cannot be underestimated, as the bridge enables human and vehicular activities, including transportation of goods and services to markets within and to neighboring states. The House further notes that the adverse effects of erosion in the past 22 years, since Idem Okpok River was dredged in 2001, has reached its peak, and if it continues unchecked, may cut off access to 16 communities, namely Ekang, Obiobom, Abagitenge, Utuabak, Afarabong, Imo, Ntuk, Nsege, Ikpa Irot, Osupong, Ntobo, Urwata, Nsilung, Ntontok, Ebo, Atan and Afara Odon communities, and 6 local government areas, namely Abak, Ukanafun, Orgonam, Etmekbo, Ika, and Esenudum respectively. The House also worried that Ikot Ekang Bridge has remained a death trap, resulting in the loss of lives, goods and services worth millions of naira on daily basis. The House is cognizant of the provision of Section 2, subsection 1 and 2 of the National Environmental, Soil Erosion and Flood Control Regulation 2011 on the objectives of the regulation which protects humans and the environment. The House resolves to 1. Urge the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs through Niger Delta Development Commission to complete the reconstruction of Ikore Kanto Biobon Bridge to prevent total disconnection from the communities. The House also urges the Federal Ministry of Environment and other relevant agencies.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Arise order 9, route 1. Mr. Speaker, my observation is, having listened and saw the mover of this motion, that Rule 12 says members shall attend the sitting of the House formally dressed. Mr. Speaker, in this country, if we are to use our native dress, we must wear a cap or a hat. Or if we are going the Western dress, we will wear our suit with a necktie. Mr. Speaker, I rise under this so that we will properly be guided in this hallowed chamber. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Urges the Federal Ministry of Environment and other relevant agencies to remedy the menace of gully erosion in Ikote Kamobiobon communities in Abag local government area. The House also mandates the committees on environment and NDDC, when constituted, to investigate the immediate and remote causes of gully erosion in Ikore Kamobiobon communities.
Order.
Local government area. Mr. Speaker, I so move. Mr. Speaker, I stand to second the motion. I so second.
Those who are against, you say nay. The ayes have it.
We received one yesterday, and we are receiving 2 again today. Actually, Honorable Clement Jimbo yesterday also urged as an amendment that this issue should have been looked at in totality for the entire Federation of Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, my amendment is actually to the prayers he made that he should have sought for your seat, your chair, if it's to open up an ad hoc committee that will deal on issues of gully erosion for the entire Nigerian Federation, especially this season when the committee needs to be...
You are not to give a speech, you are supposed to amend the prayer.
No, Mr. Speaker, I'm only just amending
your prayer and say it out.
I'm only adding to the prayers that if he can add that an ad hoc committee be created solely for gully erosion issues. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I rise to second the amendment of the prayer as proposed by my colleague. Thank you.
Running the chamber and the House of Reps for a period of time, pending the time one will constitute proper committees. So in view of that, we have some committees that I would want to announce to you that will assist in until such a time when proper committees are constituted. So I can't leave, I'll announce the names. The committees that we are going to appoint for this transition, ad hoc committee on internal security of the National Assembly, and we have Honorable Mohammed Nanjuma Hassan as the chairman, and Honorable Akala Olamiju as the deputy. We will request from the caucuses of the 6 geopolitical zones to please give us nominations of one persons to be in this particular committee. The next one is a selection committee, and we have the honor and privilege to announce that my humble self will chair the committee, and Honorable Benjamin Kalu will deputize. State caucuses are expected to give nomination of one person each to represent the state in this particular committee as well. The next is ad hoc committee on media and public affairs. We have Honorable Khadija Bukar Abba Ibrahim as the chairperson, and other members as follows: Honorable Ekenga Imo, Deputy Chairman; Honorable Akin Alabi, Member; Honorable Ojema Ojotu, Member; Honorable Irihat Ibori Suenu, Member; Honorable Al-Mustafa Ibrahim Rabah, Member. Next committee is on legislative agenda, and we have Honorable Professor Julius Enoveri as the chairman. We have Honorable Hamis Ibrahim Chideri as the deputy chairman. Honorable Akin Rotimi, member. Honorable Ali Boya, member. Honorable Musa Aga, member. Honorable Chimobi Atu Sam, member. Ad hoc committee on rules and business. We have Honorable Igariwe Eduma Enwo as the chairman. We have Honorable Yusuf Shitu Galambi as deputy chairman. We have Honorable Festus Adefaranye Ayodele, member. Honorable Esen Martins Etim, member. Honorable Kabiru Yusuf Alhaji, member. Honorable Jeremiah Umaru, member. The next ad hoc committee is Committee on Ethics and Privileges. We have Honorable Tunji Olawi as chairman. We have Honorable Omezuruke Manachim as deputy chairman. We have Honorable Obia Geli Orobu, member. Honorable Adewumi Onanuga as member. Honorable Sakir Koki as member. Honorable Ahmed Jaha as member. We have Committee on Welfare. We have Honorable Wali Rajin as the chairman, Honorable Abdullahi El Rashid as deputy chairman. Again, state caucuses are advised to nominate one person to represent their states in this very important committee. Deadline for this is Monday next week, so please try as much as possible to ensure that you submit to the clerk of the House names of your representatives for the selection committee and the welfare committee. Thank you very much. That at this time every year, the House goes on a short recess of 2 weeks. I'm glad to inform you that that recess is about the corner, but because of the Salah break, we are most likely going to extend it a little beyond the 2 weeks. I will want to invite Honorable Wase to move that the House do adjourn till the 4th of July. Is it 4th? Sorry, we need to adopt the votes and procedures of today's deliberations because of the long break we are going, after which we'll take a motion from Honorable Idris Wase for the House to adjourn until July 4th. Thank you. So we start with the first one.
Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, I rise to move for the adjournment of the House to 4th July 2023. I so move, Mr. Speaker. To adjourn till July 2023, if God spares our life. I so second.
Those against, you say nay. The ayes have it.
Meanwhile, some lawmakers have been speaking on their legislative experience so far and the agenda before the 10th Assembly. Let's take a listen.
The Speaker is doing well. Members are doing also well, contributing to all the debates on motions in the House. So I think and I believe, and I have no doubt in my mind, that this 10th National Assembly House of Press is going to perform wonderfully well, inshallah.
Okay, now we have a 3-week break. So what will be happening during this break?
At least members of the House of Press, 360 of us, will go and do stock taking. Everybody should prepare for the task ahead of us when we resume, especially as it affects our constituencies and Nigeria as a whole. We are here to defend the interests of this nation, vis-a-vis also as representatives of our people from various constituencies. We will make sure we bring each policies, laws that will uplift the living standard of the people of our various constituencies, inshallah.
So what should Nigerians look forward to?
Eh?
What should Nigerians look forward to?
Nigerians should expect a very good legislation that will promote the image of the country abroad, that will improve the living standard of the people of Nigeria. The economy is so hard, it's so harsh, but this present assembly will bring up policies that will cushion the effect of this, especially the oil subsidy and other things that will have the improved living standard of the good people of Nigeria, inshallah.
Well, I feel excited that in the first instance, we were able to stir national debate on a pertinent national issue. I feel greatly humbled by the support given by members of the House, and equally elated by even those who criticize the motion. I strongly believe that in the next couple of weeks, we are going to revisit the issue, touch on some of the sensitive issues raised, like the issue of fundamental human rights, and we'll be able to return it back to the House. And I believe the motion is targeted at addressing something very, very important and germane as far as the country is concerned. Because the issue of brain drain is a very big challenge for this country. I was discussing with one of my colleagues not quite long. We talked about foreign policy in other countries where citizens move out of the country, not necessarily for greener pasture. They move in to acquire knowledge and return back to better their country. So, but the situation in Nigeria today is one whereby people just move out for perceived greener pastures. So I believe that some of the critical issues mentioned in the motion, like bad leadership, which has already been addressed by President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the issue of insecurity being tackled by the security agencies, bad leadership, bad roads, lack of social amenities and infrastructure across the state. These are the issues majorly responsible why people are leaving the country. So I strongly believe that in the next 4 years, we should, as a government, be able to provide employment for our youth.
Okay, so 3 weeks that you'll be on break. What will be happening behind the scenes?
Well, I won't be on break because you are aware that Mr. Speaker graciously appointed me into one of the ad hoc committees to investigate oil spill in the country. So I believe the chairman of the committee will be calling on us. So for me, there's no break. We're going to be doing that because we'll be given just 6 weeks to report back to the House. And we need all the time to be able to address these issues and to be able to return back with a very competent report that the House of Rep
will be proud of?
Well, it's been very active. It's a learning curve for so many of them, especially those of us that are here for the first time. But it has been interesting. It has been very active. People have the attendance. You can see virtually all the 360 representatives were in attendance.
Okay, so what will happen during the break, and what should Nigerians expect after the break?
Well, of course, you could see that a lot of the speaker inaugurated some ad hoc committees so that there's no vacuum, where they now take time to set up the actual committees, so that by the time we reconvene in July, we'll hit the ground running. Nigerians are going to expect a very robust 10th National Assembly that is very, very Nigeria-oriented.
In 1999, it was a total brand new house where 360 members were all new, but the result that they recorded was very impressive. So I think ours is even better because we are up to, I think the old members are up to like, let me say 30%. Returning members are up to 30%. So I think it will be our place to really guide the new ones that are coming. The new ones, we can't really write them off, that they don't know what they are going to do. Most of them are coming from well-structured environment, like political system where they have taken parts, very strongly in different political stratas. Some are coming from private, organized private setting. So the only thing they need now is just to be brushed up for them to understand the don'ts and do's of the parliament. That's the only thing they need. We just need to guide them for them to be fully integrated into the system. But talking about knowing what is happening in the country, most of them are really up to date with the situation of the country, the way the economy is, and the way the political system is. Almost all of them are away. They know what to do. Most of them have already armed themselves with a lot of ideas that are going to contribute. So what we need as the returning members is just to guide them. I think they are going to flow very well. It is true that they have taken part in the just concluded induction, but I will tell you that is the theory aspect of the training. They will still need to go through the practical, where they stand on the floor, they stand up there in the floor, and then they demonstrate the real aspect of the parliamentary duties. So I think that aspect, they will need to watch their colleagues and see what they are doing, and then they will follow suit. But the induction actually helps, because the induction is to provide the basic, guidelines on what to do, the basic knowledge of the parliament, which they have already gotten. Then the practical, they will need to watch the proceedings and see how it's going. It's just like most of them that are going to be appointed into committees. Most of them will chair committees. So I think for them to be able to do it well, they will need to watch their colleagues, watch the proceedings of the House, and then know that by the time they go into committees, activities, the same way the proceedings of the House is being conducted is how the committees will be handled. So there is great need for them to really go through the practical, training of the parliamentary activities. That practical aspect is very important. Talking about the constituents' expectation and that of the general public, I think first thing first that we should focus on is how to recover the economy. I know it is basically the duty of the executive to deal with the economy, but I will also tell you that the executive cannot do it alone without the support of the parliament. The parliament play the roles of an auditor. They act as auditors to the executive to check what they are doing. So Nigerians are suffering today because our economy is not right. We have not gotten it right. Our economy is shaking. That's why you see, the cost of things going very high, and then Nigerians are struggling to get to afford them. So, as 10th House of Representatives, our main focus is to see how we can support the executive led by the presidents Asiwaju, Tinubu, to see how we can recover the economy. The moment we recover the economy, I can assure you that both our constituents and the general public are going to really enjoy the new government. Without the recovery of the economy, no matter what we do here, to take maybe what do you call social amenities, dividends of democracy back home, it won't be enough. But if we get the economy right, whether we take much home in terms of dividends of democracy, they are not going to really fill the gap. In fact, they are going to be better off. So first thing first is to get the economy recovered. After getting the economy recovered, I think we need to look into the kind of policies of government that we need to support the executive with, the kind of bills that we should promote that is going to guarantee stability of our economy, just like I said earlier. There are several bills, motion that has to do with advocacy that we should really focus on. So I think all these things will be geared towards the stability of the economy. Whatever policies that we are doing as a house is going to promote the growth of our economy. So we'll also focus on that. And then one vital law that we are going to look at will be the 2022 Electoral Act that we just passed. That will be one focus that we are going to look at, apart from the stability of the economy. That is one law that I believe Nigerians must have appreciated the 9 Assembly for their efforts, because that bill is something that so many assemblies have tried their best to get it out, but it was a bit difficult. But 9 Assembly was able to, take that risk and then pass the Electoral Act. And I know that there are a lot to be done. I wouldn't say that just passing the Electoral Act is really enough. There are a lot of things. There are a lot of clauses that we need to look at. So I think that will be the main focus. Clauses like the electronic voting that we made attempts. We attempted to, use that electronic voting. I think what we have done is just like saying 50% of the electronic voting. We have not done the entire process. So in the 10th Assembly, we are going to look at how we can hand over a kind of upgraded electoral act to Nigerians, so that the 2027 election will witness a different dimension of election, where the entire electioneering process, the voting process is going to be electronically. So that is what is obtainable in international community. So we are going to focus on this area too. And also there was a lacuna in the Electoral Act where officials of government like myself, the governors and the presidents, all the elected officers in the country did not take part in the voting. So we need to correct it this time around when we resume duty. We are going to correct it so that all the stakeholders in the political space can take part in the voting. I think that was in the primaries. They didn't vote in the primaries, so we are going to correct it. So we are going to work on electoral acts and also look at other areas that we believe is going to, help promote our economy. I would like to appreciate the president in this regard, because ever since he came in the last couple of days, he has really shown capacity and willingness and readiness to work for Nigerians in these areas that you talked about, in the area of power, in the area of power, that is electricity, and other sectors, especially the banking sector. You have seen what he has done. The president has come up with a policy to sanitize the entire system. So what we are going to do at the level of the parliament is for us to come up with laws, enabling laws, that will support Mr. President to carry out these reforms. We are in support of the reforms. We want the public, the general public, to enjoy the dividends of government. They might not really be in the office the way we are, but if we make the kind of laws that promote the stability of the economy, that eradicate the insecurity that is ravaging the country, I think that is the benefit to the public. So Mr. President has started well by trying to reform the banking system, by trying to reform the power system and the oil and gas. You can see what he has done in the area of petroleum industry. You know, a situation where we used to have that kind of leakages, where about 6 trillion was, you know, wasted on a yearly basis. It wasn't something that helped our economy. Even though the general public believed that they were buying petrol at a subsidized rate, but what the country was going through was much more than that. But the step that the president has taken is the right step in the right direction. So we will continue to make the kind of laws that will support what the president is trying to do, so that the public, you know, will benefit from the gesture of the government. I believe that the 10th Assembly is pregnant with a lot of hopes. The only thing I can advise Nigerians right now is for them to be patient, because the Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes processes for us to, you know, get things done. Let them be patient with the kind of president that we have in place. It's a Democrat. He has been in the saddle of this nature, though at the state level, and he did well. He did so well. So I believe, having come this far, now he's at the national level. With that kind of experience that he has gotten, he will be able to man the ship of this country well. So our place as a parliament is for us to ensure that we support him, so that at the end of the day, Nigerians will see a brand new Nigeria. That's the first thing they need to see, brand new Nigeria. They will see stability in our power sector. They will see stability in our banking sector. They will see stability in economy, you know, as a whole. And then they will also see total eradication. Okay, let me not use the word total eradication, but they will see an improved security situation of this country. I don't think with the kind of security structure that the president has set up, that we are going to face the same situation that we used to face in the past. So I want to believe security situation is going to improve, and then power sector is going to be an improved one, then economy will be stable. That's the kind of Nigeria that we are expecting, you know, the 10th Assembly to support, so that we can witness.
Basically, we are setting up our offices. We've gotten, some of us, we've gotten allocation. So we're setting up, as you can see, we're setting up our offices. Basically, then going through the house rules, the orders, standing orders. And of course, I belong to the Rules and Business Ad hoc Committee, so we've been having our meetings. So basically, that's what is going on at the moment. The Welfare Committee, of course, they are the ones in charge of allocating offices and seats to members at the chambers. While the Rules and Business, of course, we've started meeting, and our discussions are mostly on how to make our rules more friendly, and more, if there are areas of review, we'll do that, basically. So, but for other committees, the media committee to our meeting, of course, they are the image makers. Before the proper committee for media and publicity will be set up, they are also doing their work, they are meeting, they are sitting to ensure that the 10th Assembly have a very good face. For us as members of the 10th Assembly, Nigerians should expect the best and nothing but the best. Reasons being that we have a group of vibrant young people in the 10th Assembly. The young people age 40 below, we are over almost 43. We are 43 in number at the moment. And of course, we have a lot of new members who are professionals in their field, and also with a lot of experience in the civil service and the rest. So there are a lot of things that we're coming on board with, or we've come to give to Nigerians. And even from the body language of the executive, that's Mr. President, you know that he's actually ready for the task. So for us, we're going to do the law that will help the executive in discharge of their function and duty. And of course, proper oversight duties is also another thing that we're going to carry out very effectively. For me, yes, as a member, House of Reps, I represent Nigeria first and foremost, then I represent my constituency. So whatever law or bill, motion I'm going to bring on board, one will be that will promote the interests of Nigerians as a whole. Of course, I'm my constituents. You know, they voted me in to come here and represent them and their interests. And whatsoever is the interest of my people, I'm going to pursue it very well, basically. And we're going to do laws that will have direct bearing on the people in general. The 10th Assembly is made up of professionals in their field of endeavor, and people with vast experience in their careers. I can guarantee you this 10th Assembly is not going to be a rubber stamp. It's going to be a critical assembly. Assembly in the sense that the interests, anything that concerns the people of Nigeria, will be what everybody will be presenting and defending. So we have a system, we have a government or executive. Even from their start, the body language of the executive shows that they are really serious, they are ready for the task ahead. And for us, if they are going to bring anything that will help our people, we have direct bearing on our people, we'll support it. It's not a rubber stamp, but whatever we feel will be beneficial to our people, why not?
The organogram of National Assembly is very impressive in the sense that we went on induction, in which every member elected were inducted. You were acquainted with the rules of the House. You were acquainted with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You received some lectures from the expert on the way to behave, the code of conduct in the National Assembly, the ethics and privilege, and everything you need to do that have made everyone to be exposed and get acquainted with the rule of the House. And equally, so many House of Rep members are past or present House of Assembly, which they have already been able to know what the lawmaking is all about. So it's a welcome development because we are one Nigeria, we are able to understand ourselves and work together for the interests of this country. There is a legacy that the 9th Assembly have led in the National Assembly. That legacy is what have translated to 10th Assembly, the legacy of joint tax. Joint tax is that in National Assembly, nothing like party. You talk of the interests of the country. And that is what the former Speaker, the President Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Bajamiamila, achieved with his leadership. He brought everybody together in respect of the party, APC, PDP, APOGA, NNPP, whatever. Now we have Labour Party and so many others, and the APC and so many other party, PDP. We come together. And when we come to National Assembly, we'll talk of zonal caucus. Zonal caucus in respect of the party is the high-ranking officer in that zone that resumed the office of the zonal caucus. And you have a state caucus. So in that, we see ourselves as one people that have one agenda. The agenda is the interest of this country. And as God may have it, we're able to have experienced people again in the presidency that groom from the legislative angle. So there is a lot that the National Assembly is going to achieve. And what the president have already bring out in his administration really going to do a lot for changing the service chiefs and so many other things. So every of these service chiefs will try to have a good name by making sure he tackle the security of this country. And you talk of the petroleum industry, the first subsidy is already removed. Those money is going to be impacted more on the people of this country. We have to look inward and make sure we offer the best for the country. We offer the best to our constituents. Make sure we have reorientation to readdress the mind of our people, that we have whatever it takes in this country than going to be a slave in other countries. That we have the potential to give us what we can do, to have a potential to retrain ourselves. We have a potential in all aspects, medical, agriculture, infrastructure, everything. Let us just believe in ourselves and work hard towards it and try to love ourselves. If the love is there and obey the rules of law, Nigeria is good to go. You'll be very surprised at seeing me in your office when we're in recess. I'm privileged to be the member of Committee on Welfare. Our duty is to make sure all these members, we allotted office for them, their car park and everything, so that when they resume, they will not be scrabbling about. So that is it. That is why you see so many members that are working hard to make their colleagues comfortable.
Nigeria is a multicultural, multi-ethnic society, and so there are certain parties that will be dominant in certain areas. I think that for the 10th Assembly, you have about a total of 8 political parties that contributed membership, to the Assembly. But once you get inaugurated and sworn in as honorable member of the House, your constituency, first and foremost, is Nigeria. But while sitting in that mix, you also begin to bring to the fore the needs of your particular constituents, your state and your region. So on the whole, we are representatives of the Nigerian people. When we come together under the auspices of the National Assembly, in my particular case, the House of Representatives, we are there on behalf of the entire Nigerian people. And so our interest basically would be those things that would make life more affordable, more meaningful, more prosperous for the generality of the people of Nigeria. And in doing that, our political party divide, our ethnic and religious divides should not come to play at all. The 10th Assembly is coming at an auspicious period in the life of our nation. You know that for over the last 6 decades, our life has revolved around the production, sale of oil, petroleum products. That has been our mainstay. And then suddenly the subsidy is gone. And so we are in a competitive era where we have to buy petroleum products at about the same amount as our neighboring countries. And so ordinarily there is a hike, in the price of commodities, transportation, foodstuff, general cost of living. But we also all know that subsidy had to go. So the issue should be, if subsidy goes and frees up capital, where is this capital going to be deployed? For it to be meaningful and for those pains to be cushioned, then we have to judiciously apply these freed up resources from subsidy regime into beneficial items such as education, health, food production. So instead of these monies going into consumption, we should rather be thinking of how to go into production. If we are able to steady our power supply, which I hope that enough resources will be made available to boost power generation, then you can see small and medium and even large industries springing up. Time was in this country when even the textile industries employed a good number of youths that we are coming out. So there is nothing saying our population is already a market that anybody, any country will wish for. So there is nothing you produce. If you take textile, if you produce textile materials, you have enough market within Nigeria to break even within 5 years. So These are things that the legislature, with proper oversight, should be able to ensure that it happens, that these same monies will not be used for consumption and the personal welfare of political office holders. External vigilance is the price of liberty. If you sleep on your rights, you might just, a president that you think ought to do well might just begin to exhibit dictatorial tendencies. But so far so well, but I don't think that we should leave it at that. We'll keep pushing, we'll keep doing our oversight functions, and that is the only way for the executive not to stray away from their primary duty of implementing policies. Executive bills come. If they come and those bills that are for the betterment of the country, why not? We'll pass it with almost the speed of light after looking at it. Then private member bills that are also for the growth of especially the economic sector of the country will give accelerated hearing and passage to such kind of laws. So basically, it's an interdependent relationship. It's one government. Oftentimes, people think that the three arms of government should be in perpetual conflict. No. The only problem is that you must check the boundaries. If you don't establish boundaries, then it's Lord Action who said that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So it's not meant to allow one man or one arm to be domineering. You know, where there is a dispute even between the legislature and the executive, there is the judiciary to look at it and make pronouncements. But all in all, it's one government geared towards serving one people, the people of Nigeria. You saw the overwhelming support for the ticket of Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas and Representative Benjamin Kalu. Initially, some of us thought that because those positions had been microzoned to them, then there would be a rubber stamp leadership. But as we have seen, they went out of their way. They did more pragmatic campaigns than all the other aspirants, sold themselves. They ran at the end of the day on their records, between the two of them, producing 74 bills in 4 years and having as many as 20 signed into law. I have never heard or seen that kind of record in the National Assembly. And so this will tell you that these are men who are used to the internal workings of the House that's coming to plenary. Everybody have their strengths, but our basic function is lawmaking. And if between the two principal officers, they could churn such number of bills that ended up getting as many as 20 presidential assents, then they know they have come to the job prepared. So upon resumption, already Mr. Speaker has set up certain committees, the Selection and Welfare Committee. So I'm sure that by July 4, when we come back, members will move into their offices and then the business of lawmaking oversights and all whatnot would just take flight.
Ever since we got here, after we've been elected, all our interactions put into consideration that we have a body that we have put together, which is called the New Dawn Caucus, which consists of over 100 members for the 10th Assembly, and setting agenda for the new leadership, and by the grace of God, electing the Speaker of the 10th House of Assembly, which is Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. One could say that we have just set out in the right direction. Reasons because if you follow up on the activities on our first sitting, which is the inauguration on the 13th of June, you would agree that this is about the first time in the history of the National Assembly where there's almost a unanimous, decision and endorsement to the leadership of the 10th Assembly. So first of all, that shows that we are ready to work as a team, and our business is the business of Nigerians, and we're in a hurry to see how we can turn around the fortunes of our people and make them happy. More so that we're at a time where, Nigerians are going through very high excruciating pains, put into consideration the removal of subsidy and what have you. So Nigerians are eager to know what are the palliatives, what are those things that we are bringing on board, in terms of legislation to cushion the effect of this subsidy removal. So we know that it's a lot of work that we have to do. We are putting on our thinking caps. And in the last two sittings, you could see that members, even those who are relatively new to legislative processing, everybody is eager to speak. Everybody is eager to talk about, what affects us as a people. Of a particular note is a colleague of ours, I think from Benue, who, moved a motion on urgent public importance, trying to, bring to attention of the leadership the Japa syndrome, where we have a lot of our young people now, leaving the country and what have you. So that and every other bills and motions that have been raised in the House, signals that it's going to be a House that will be seriously involved in robust engagement and dealing with all issues that will not just take Nigeria to the next level, but to take Nigeria to that developed nation that we expect it to be. I can assure you that we have the best brains amongst us colleagues across the 360 constituencies that will bring, on board all those innovative laws that will bring about remarkable turnaround. We'll be looking at areas of innovative technology, and we just have to migrate from what it used to be to what we ought to, to be. At the same time, we'll be looking at laws that are already in existence that may be obsolete or that needs amendment. By and large, is to, like I said, to task our brains, to be selfless in doing all that we need to do. Take out time to, go through the existing laws, the areas that need amendment, we do. Then areas where we need to propose and enact new laws, we should do. So it's a promise that we'll be working closely with our colleagues, and I see that zeal to work, that zeal to make yourself, available to do the business, of legislation for the betterment of Nigerians is there. At least I can say that of my colleagues that will belong to the same caucus. Already there's an involvement, with the youth. They are already involved. So the expectation now is whether we meet the expectation that they actually have of us. That again, time will tell. I can speak about myself. I can speak about a few colleagues that I've had to interact with since I got here. But one sure thing is that what we are bringing on board are programs that had to do with youth development, youth mainstreaming, and youth inclusion. And it's not just for the political development of our country, but the economic development, inclusion in terms of opening new areas. Like I said, we'll be dealing with areas of innovative technology. And it's only the young people that have the capacity to drive, this sector. And all that we need to do is to give enabling laws to the government, which is the executive, to be able to, do what that it needs to do. I watched the news yesterday where the president said that he's going to, first tranche be creating about 500,000 jobs. These jobs that we're talking about is not going to just happen, but they need the enabling laws to make all of this happen. And you can imagine that if, we put words to action, a country that have been able to, within the first 6 months or 1 year, create 5,000 jobs, it means that there's great prospects for the country. And these jobs are not going to be created for people who are well above 50 years. It's going to be within the age bracket of 18 at 35 years. So there's a great prospect for our young people in the country, and I want to believe that mid-tenure of this 10th Assembly, we should be judged the basis of what we have done. The way the constitution is, there was a house before the 13th of June, and those of us who were coming were members-elect. And the moment we stepped in, office accommodation needed to be allocated, and members needed to quickly run back to their constituency to tidy up. The business of legislation, as it is enshrined in our constitution, is a full-time job. And so members don't need any form of distraction. So the short break is to enable members do all that they need to do back in their constituency, report back to their constituent that they've been inaugurated, and now they are now members of the National Assembly. At the same time, to prepare themselves as well as their legislative aides to come back and hit the ground running. So we're expecting that from 4th, the business, of legislation will be fully up and running at the National Assembly.
And that's it today on the program from the National Assembly, House of Representatives. My name is Mitaire Ikben, and we thank you for watching. See you next time.